Well, good morning, Rotary District 7770. Welcome to Conversations with Rotary Action People for Monday, October 4th. Can you believe it is October already? I know the weather has been fantastic here in the Myrtle Beach area. Hopefully you've been out enjoying the weather where you are. And hopefully later this week, we don't get a lot of rain. As they're saying, we're going to get a lot of rain. My name is Donald Hovis. I'm your CWRAP post, and I'm from the CWRAP Rotary Club in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Once again, welcome to CWRAP. I would like to give a special shout out to Mary Gask from the 5 Points Rotary Club in Columbia, who sets up all of our speakers. And today, she had a goal of 3 or 4 months ago is I want to get a football official. I want to get a football official. And it was like in the back of my mind, I'm like, I know one. So we're excited to have Bryan Murphy on with us today, and I will go over his bio in just a moment. But let's do some, hold on a second. Someone is signed in as the district. So you may not see my face, but I'm on. Can you still hear me? Can somebody give me a nod? Okay. All right. Don't know who tried to sign in as the district, but someone tried to sign in and says I was being signed out. So we'll keep moving forward. But special announcements. You got your Powerball ticket, anybody? Anybody got your Powerball ticket? You might be saying, Powerball? I thought they only did that on Wednesday and Saturday. Oh, they got a new Monday drawing. Estimated jackpot, $685 million today. So in the chat box, which you'll use for questions and things for our speaker, how about answer this question? Your name, your Rotary Club, and what's the last football game you went to? Now, Bryan is a college football official, so what's the last college football game you went to? We'd love to hear from you. And if you have any questions for our speaker throughout his presentation, please post those in the chat, and we'll get to them at the end. All right. So here is the bio on our speaker, Bryan Murphy. Bryan began his journey in officiating in 2004 when he joined the South Carolina High School League and worked middle school, junior varsity, and varsity. Bryan had the good fortune to be assigned to a game where a scout was observing another official in 2006. The scout helped Bryan get on the field for some college scrimmages, and this resulted in him being accepted into the South Atlantic Conference, the NCAA Division II League in 2007. Bryan continued to study rules, work on mechanics, and attend scrimmage opportunities whenever available. In 2010, Bryan was accepted into the Southern Conference and NCAA football subdivision FCS League. Good fortune met hard work again when Bryan received the assignment of a lifetime. He was assigned to work the FCS National Championship game in Frisco, Texas at the end of the 2016 season. Maybe he'll tell us who played in that game. The following spring, Bryan was accepted into the Sun Belt Conference and NCAA Division I League. Coastal Carolina University in Myrtle Beach is currently in the Sun Belt Conference. Bryan received postseason assignments at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise, Idaho. So he was on the blue turf at the end of the 2018 season, and at the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl in Dallas, Texas at the end of the 2019 season. In the spring of 2020, Bryan reached another career goal when he was invited to join the Southeastern Conference, the SEC, the premier NCAA Division I League. Bryan is currently in his second year with the SEC, where he works the position of side judge. By profession, Bryan is a police officer currently holding the rank of captain and assigned as the commander of the patrol division for the Myrtle Beach Police Department. He has worked in law enforcement for over 28 years. And that's how I know Bryan from his career there at the Myrtle Beach Police Department. Bryan is married to his wife, Brenda. They have 3 children, 28, 24, and 20, and 1 grandchild that they spoil every chance that they get. So good morning, Bryan, and thank you for being here, sir.
Well, good morning. It's definitely my pleasure to join you guys today. First, let me start off. I've got to give a disclaimer. The boss told me I had to do this before I spoke, but my thoughts do not represent the Southeastern Conference or the Myrtle Beach Police Department today. They are my own, so we'll go from there. We just went over my bio, and it's been a great ride since 2004. I've had a great time. Met a lot of great people. Been to a lot of great places. When I first got started in officiating back in 2004, I always kind of wanted to do it after getting out of high school. I played a little bit of football in high school. I broke my collarbone when I was a sophomore, and mom said no more football playing. So I had to go a different route after that. But I always wanted to get into the avocation of officiating. I had an opportunity as I was working as a police officer to meet one of my fellow police officers' father, a guy by the name of Mike Mullinex, who is here in the Myrtle Beach area, who had been a high school official for over 25 years at the time. So we got to talking. I told him what I wanted to do, and he's like, yeah, we've definitely got room for you. Come on down to our meetings. So I remember going home that day and telling my wife, I said, I finally met somebody I can get into the football officiating. And she looked at me and she said, well, I don't understand. Why do you want to have two jobs, police officer and officiating, where everybody yells at you all the time? And I looked back at her and I said, well, I've got lots of practice at home. I hate to waste it. I'll let that settle in for a second. Just kidding. No, my wife has been very great. She's been very supportive, and I couldn't have done any of this without her and the support of my children. So it's been a great ride for everybody. She does get to go to some of the games with me. So we have a good time with it. But anyway, going into kind of how I got into it, as the bio said, I worked some middle school and junior varsity and varsity games. And that's really where the proving grounds are for an official, because that's where all the crazy stuff happens. I know one of the people on the call here said he was a high school football coach for a little while. And so you see a lot of out of the ordinary things that happen on a high school football field. And a lot of times people say, you know, when they first get into it, they'll say, yeah, I want to go and work in college, or I want to work in the NFL or wherever it is. And that's a great goal to have and a great dream and something to work towards. But you really, without getting the experience of working in the Pee Wee leagues or the middle school and high school, it's tough to get the experience that you need to move forward. So that's one of those things that you almost have to do, a prerequisite of going forward. So anyway, I worked through a couple of years, and I had the really good fortune to meet a man by the name of Bill Wampler, who was a football official in the Atlantic Coast Conference for many, many years. And he was doing some scouting for the NFL. So he was looking at another guy that was on my crew. I believe we were in Florence that particular Friday night. And he came up and introduced himself. And after the game, he came back and he said, you know, I really think you have something here. I'd like to put you on my list and have you associated with me. So I was like, yeah, great. I don't understand what that means, but that's all great. So he called me after a couple of weeks and got me set up doing some scrimmages in the spring. And back in that time, it's changed a little bit now, but back in that time, that was really the only way that you could be seen by the coordinators of officials, was to go to spring scrimmages for colleges, you know, all over the Southeast. So my goal was that when I started doing that, and Mr. Wampler shared with me, he said, you know, try your best to never say no to anybody when they ask you to do that sort of thing. So that was my goal. I didn't want to say no. So anytime anybody called me, it didn't matter where the game was or when it was, you know, if I could make it, I tried to go. So after doing that for a couple of years, I was accepted into the South Atlantic Conference. A man by the name of Don Safrit, who was also an Atlantic Coast Conference official, was the coordinator of officials at that time. He took me in there. And I moved up from there to the Southern Conference, and then eventually into the Sun Belt and SEC. One of the things that you have to do there, especially as you're moving up in Division II and in the FCS, is in the off season, you have to attend several rule meetings where we sit around. It's usually a group of 6 to 10 people, and we discuss the rules. Well, back in that time, we didn't have Zoom and all of those things that we have now. So you actually had to go to the meeting. The Myrtle Beach area, there were no officials in our area that had that were working at the college level at that time. So I basically had three choices. I could go to Wilmington. There was a group that met there. There was also a group that met down in Charleston, and then there was a group that met in Columbia. So I had 2 hours to drive any direction I wanted to go, and I could meet with those officials. I tried out all of them and met some great people in there. A lot of good rules discussion. I spent most of my time at the Charleston meeting, and there were a couple of great guys down there that were in the SEC at the time, a guy by the name of Penn Wagers and another fellow by the name of Terry Walters, who were very instrumental in helping me to progress and learn the rules. Because it's not really just about what the rules are, but how you should apply them in a game when it makes sense to do so. So that's one of the biggest things that officials have to learn, is not just the rules, but how you apply them, how there's an advantage or disadvantage that you have to take care of. So that was one of the great things I learned from there. As I said, you have to have the snaps though. So try and work as many games as you can at whatever level it is that you can while you're moving up. One of the things that a lot of people probably don't understand either is the work that goes into it all year long. It's not just show up on Saturday and call the game. We do rules study all year, and the rules don't really change a whole lot. Usually there's 2 or 3, maybe up to 5 rules that change in a particular season. But you have to have such a knowledge of the rules that when you step on the field and something happens, you can just react to it and not have to go back in your memory banks and try and remember how to apply a particular rule. So it's very important that we stay involved in the rules. We still have those rule meetings every week. It's a little nicer now with the Zoom, because you can talk with people all over the country. You can get several people on one meeting, and everybody kind of gets on the same page. So that's been a nice advancement for us. We also still do the scrimmages every year in the spring. Most teams go through their spring season, which is usually about 5 or 6 weeks long. They have 2 or 3 scrimmages, and we try and get out there and work with the teams. Those are good opportunities to where we can actually work with the players and coaches and kind of coach them up on what they may be doing to so that they don't do it when they get into a regular game if they're doing something against the rules or may not have a good understanding of it. We also do a lot of studying on what we call mechanics, which is where you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to be looking at part of officiating. Spend a lot of time there. And then what goes hand in hand with that is the film that we get. When I first came in, everything was on VHS tape, and you would go to a game and you may give the coach a VHS tape and an envelope and ask him to send the game film to him. Sometimes they would do it, sometimes they wouldn't, but that was really our only way of getting film and watching ourselves on the field and how we moved, and then also watching things that the players did that they may or may not have gotten away with during a particular game. Advancements now are much better. For instance, my game Saturday night, I was stuck in the airport yesterday for several hours. I was able to go through that whole game film while I was sitting there and go through and make my notes and be ready myself for the coming up week. So technology has been great for officiating as far as that goes. The other thing that you have to do as you move up is you have to go to what they call clinics, which are usually rule meetings. When I first started, they would have the clinics around the spring scrimmages, and they still do that to some degree, but now it's mostly you have to pay to go to them, and it's difficult to get into them and to actually get a spot on the field. So I guess I was fortunate in that regard that I came in when it was kind of free, and they were still looking for people to come, and it was easy to get into the scrimmages and the clinics. So you work through the clinics and you get seen, and then hopefully you can move up and advance. I was talking a little bit about the time that's involved in the off season. Just to give you a little insight as to how that works in season. For instance, we had a game Saturday. On Sunday, as I said, we try and study our film of the game that we had on Saturday. look for anything that we might have missed, any mechanics issues that we might have had. And then we get a grade report every Wednesday. So we have somebody in the SEC office that looks at the film, and we also have an observer that's on site. He makes notes about what he saw, and then we get a grade report every Wednesday, which is a stressful time because we get graded not on every play that we have, but every play that we would have been involved in. So normally, as a side judge, I usually have anywhere from 5 to 15 points on the grade report where I was directly responsible for a call or not making a call on the report. So anyway, Sunday we do that. On Monday and Tuesday, we all have jobs on the crew. My particular job is to scout the teams that we're going to have the coming week. So I will look at their film from their previous game or games and come up with about 10 plays that we want to look at, pass plays, running plays, kicking plays, those sort of things, just to see what their tendencies are, to see who their star players are, and to kind of come up with a game plan on how we're going to officiate the coming week. So I take care of that on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, as I said, we have the game report comes out, then we'll go back and review the film that we had with the game report comments on it. And then we put that aside, and that's the end of the previous week, and we file that. Usually on Thursday, I try and take the time off and do some other things outside of football. And then Friday, we travel to our site. We have to be on site at 6 p.m. We have meetings that go until about 8:30 or 9. The next morning, we'll get up, have meetings again for about an hour or so, and then get ready and go to the ball game. The ball game is the best part of it because that's really the funny part is that's probably the least amount of pressure you have all week, and the least stress is actually at the ball game. That's the fun part. I got a few other things, but I see that we're getting about 20 minutes here. So I'm going to stop here and see if anybody has any questions that I can address and answer.
Yeah, good stuff, Brian. The chat box is loaded with questions, so I will scroll up to the top and kind of come down and do the first ones we have here. Let's see. You might have just discussed this, but when you travel to the SEC games, when do you have to be there? You just talked about that with your crew, and what kind of pregame meeting do you have, and what is discussed in terms of the teams?
Yeah, so I mentioned a little bit about that. Like I said, myself and another guy on the crew will go through their film from the previous weeks and look for tendencies. And when I say we're looking for tendencies, say for instance, we've got one of the fouls that is a personal foul is a blindside block. And sometimes we'll pick up where, say, a receiver is coming in motion and may come in and try and chip that linebacker or what have you. Sometimes it turns into a blindside block. So we'll want to, if we see a team doing that, we'll want to pay special attention, especially when somebody goes in motion there. So we'll look for things like that in our pregame. And then also to pick out the individuals who, like last week, we had a guy that was super fast. So we want to make sure that we give a couple extra steps, as those guys are very, very young and I am very, very old. So we have to figure out how to back up and be able to see everything that we're seeing.
What are the rules that have particular emphasis this year in the SEC?
Player safety is always the big rule. As most of you know, we brought targeting into the game. It's been several years, probably 6 or 7 years. We still have a big emphasis on that. One of the other ones is unsportsmanlike conduct, especially when it is directed towards a player of the opposing team or their bench. We try and stay on those, and just player safety fouls are the biggest things that we're looking at.
You talked about grading a second ago, but this question goes along with that. Does your crew grade one another informally, or is grading only done by the officials at the league level?
Yeah, actually it's both. We, like I mentioned, we do get the grade report every Wednesday. in our meetings on Friday evening when we get there, we do go through our film from the previous week, and we hold ourselves accountable to each other, which is one of the great things, because we can get in there and actually be honest with one another, even if something doesn't come up on the grade report. If we notice it and see that we were in a bad position, or we might not have seen something, we'll either admit it ourselves, or another crew member will bring that up, because the goal from all of the grades, the grade report and from ourselves critiquing each other, is to get better and improve every week. So that's our goal.
All right, I love this question. We haven't seen this lovely lady in a while, but I'm glad she's here, and she loves football. So here we go. There are some refs who literally blow it. What does it take to get rid of a ref who blows it, as all are aware of his lack of the rules?
All right. Well, generally speaking, in our league, as I say, with they'll look at a bunch of things at the end of the year. They look at the grade reports. We have a test that we have to take in July, a rules test. They look at the scores from that. We have a physical agility test that we have to do, so they'll look at that. And then each of the on-field observers and the film graders at the end of the year, they all submit a report on each official that they've seen. And then the coordinator will take all of that information into consideration, and then he decides if he's going to extend an offer for the following year. So everybody is an independent contractor. We're on a 1-year contract, and the contract can be terminated at any time by either party.
Do you travel with the same crew for the entire season, or do you have a different crew with each game?
Yes, we generally travel with the same crew every week. There are some differences, like this particular week, this past Saturday, I was not with my normal crew because the side judge on another crew went to one of the schools where I was officiating. So we call them mark-offs. If you went to school there, or you have a child that goes to school there, or you have a working relationship, then you have to mark off that school. Sometimes that happens, and then they have to interchange people. But for the most part, we do travel with the same crew.
How and when do you get your weekly assignments?
That's a good question. So at the beginning of the year, late July, early August, they will send us the first 5 games that we have. And then once we start the season, in this case, it was Labor Day weekend, we start getting 1 game a week. They used to release the whole schedule to everybody up front, but one of the biggest issues in the game right now is gambling. And the theory is that we don't want to give too many of the assignments away, because people may try and influence because of gambling issues. So we just get them a week at a time now. So we're about 4 weeks out now. We'll get the assignment for the first week of November today or tomorrow.
And then talk to us a little bit about what is, obviously, I mean, I'm sure they cover your cost of your flight and your hotel and your meals and everything. Can you talk a little bit about the benefits of being an SEC official?
Yes. It is, there are a lot of financial benefits to it. Yes, they do take care of all of our travel, and we get a nice game fee to go along with that. Other than the money, the better part is we get to go to a lot of great places. We meet a lot of great people. The stadiums are just the atmosphere, especially this year. The atmosphere in the stadiums is crazy, to have all the fans in there. Last year, as I mentioned, was my first year during the COVID. They had 20% occupancy in the stadiums. It was a different vibe. You could actually hear the players talking to each other on the field and giving signals and all that stuff. This year, there's no shot at that. It's all crowd noise and atmosphere, and it's the best part of college football is that. So that's probably the biggest benefit is being a part of that and helping, in some way, bringing joy in some cases anguish to so many people through what we do.
You have to study both teams before the game, correct?
Yes.
You ever had to throw a coach out?
No, we try not to do that. We try very hard. Matter of fact, I don't know of anybody at the college level that has ever done that. I'm sure it's happened once or twice, but I don't know of anybody that's ever done that. We try and communicate the best we can. A lot of times when coaches have issues, it's all about communication, and they haven't been communicated with the way they want to be, or they don't get the information that they need to do their job. So we work very hard, especially on my crew, at trying to communicate and leaving those lines open. Even when, emotions get high, we try and be that level force there so that we can still have communication going back and forth.
What are your personal thoughts on targeting and ejecting players? Should they be given a second chance in the game?
Yeah, the targeting rule is really designed as a safety issue for both the player that's being targeted and the targeter. I'm sure y'all have all seen stories where the person doing the hitting goes in, he puts his head down, ends up breaking his neck or his back or something. Very, very dangerous. The other thing is, you've got somebody coming at you with a helmet, which, weighs 8-10 pounds, and the full force of the body behind it. It's a big hit on somebody. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had one went into the chest of the player. The player ended up going into the hospital and being on a ventilator after that because of the impact of that player coming into the other player's chest. So the whole rule is designed to get that completely out of the game. It hasn't done it yet. We still have targeting calls every week, not in every game, but we have some every week. So until we get it completely out of the game, I think it's necessary to keep the rule in there the way that it is.
And I'm actually going to say last call for questions, please. Last call for questions. It seems that some targeting is more incidental rather than on purpose with an intent to harm. Should there be a difference in the rules enforcement?
Yeah, they actually made that adjustment last year or the year before. It used to be that when we had a targeting call, they're always reviewed by replay. And it used to be that it could either stand or be confirmed for it to go through and the player to be ejected. They changed that to where it can't be just stands. It has to be confirmed. So they have to confirm all of the elements were there. And by elements, we mean that there was something that the player did to make it illegal. So they either had to lower their head, or they had to launch themselves in some manner, or extend their forearm, or something where it's not just incidental. And then it has to be that contact to the head or neck area, which is the danger zone that we try and keep them out of. Unless it's with the crown of the helmet. If they hit somebody with the top of the helmet, then that's going to be the targeting foul.
How do you handle aggressive fan behavior?
Quite frankly, I don't hear the fans. Once the game gets started, I very rarely pay attention to what they're doing. Maybe during a timeout, I may look up and hear the crowd noise or notice that they're there. But we are generally so focused on what we're doing that the crowds don't affect us.
Excellent. And I think this will be our last question for today. Do you have a favorite stadium and a least favorite stadium to call a game?
No, not really. I've been to some really fun places. Earlier this year, our crew had the game at UCLA with the LSU. I'd never been to California before, so that was a great experience going out there and seeing the Rose Bowl. I've enjoyed going to Alabama and South Carolina, all the SEC schools. They're all just fantastic places to go and to either watch a game or to be part of it. So I've really never been to a bad place, that I would say.
Excellent. Well, Bryan, thank you so much. Amazing presentation. Thank you for honoring Mary's wish of having a football official on here. And thank you for your service also. to the city of Myrtle Beach and through your law enforcement career. You're a busy guy. I think I'm busy, but I think you may be busier than all of us. So thank you very much for your time today.
Absolutely. I was glad to be here, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Thank you, Bryan. All the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, folks, our upcoming speakers. So next Monday, we will hear from Patrick Longano, who's going to talk to us about impact clubs. 2 weeks from today, we will hear from Joe Witowski, who talks about the Hero Awards program. We will round out October on Monday, the 25th, with some Halloween trivia. So what I want you to do, if you're on here watching right now and you're going to be here on the 25th, go to Google and put Halloween trivia and study. Okay, don't have it up when we're doing the trivia, but study. You got 3 week notice, because it can't get any worse than last year. Pretty much, it was just a laughing. It was just a laughing episode of CWRAP. I'm just gonna say. But study up. And also, if you have any suggestions for speakers for Mary, I know we're booking past October, so please send those over to her. If you also have a speaker suggestion, you can stay on at the end and tell us who that person may be, as we got one last week after the episode. So awesome. District Governor Paul Walter, you want to talk to us about the upcoming conference?
Certainly. March 11th through the 13th, 2022 will be the All Club Conference on sunny Hilton Head. It is sunny today, so I presume it will still be that sunny on those dates, and nice and cool and a good environment to be in. We'll be at the Sonesta Resort in Shipyard. You can now go on DACDB and locate the information to register for a hotel room, should you want to do so. And registration for the conference will be forthcoming. But please join us for the All Club Conference. It is a Rotary family reunion. We are planning at this time for it to be in person. We make those decisions as it comes. So if we need to pivot and make changes, we will. But right now, we're planning for the conference to be in person with lots of good speakers, some fun, and more fun and more fun. So join us on the 11th and 13th of March in 2022. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you. All right, folks, we'll conclude today with the Rotary 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Have a great week. Hopefully we'll stay dry, and we'll see you back for Patrick Longano next Monday on CWRAP. Have a great week. It's a wrap. Bye-bye.